Maria, do you want to call the?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Gonzalez, Secretary of the Board of the Philadelphia Land Bank. In accordance with the bylaws, I will be serving as chair for the interim chairperson, Andrew Goodman. We're going to start with an announcement on virtual meetings. Andrea?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. Today's board meeting is being held by an authorized communication device and is being recorded. Questions and comments may be made using the Q&A function or by using the raise hand function. If you are calling in and not using the Zoom webinar link, you may ask questions or make comments by pressing *9 on your phone or using the raise hand function. Please do not use the chat function. If any member of the public has any issues submitting questions or comments, please send an email to andrea.sa@phdc.phila.gov and that will be placed in the chat. Please note that all questions and comments received by email prior to this meeting or through the Q&A function during the meeting will be included in the minutes. All questions and comments received by 4 p.m. yesterday were shared with the board. Also, prior to today's public session, the board held an executive session during which Mr. Rodriguez reviewed the agenda, announced the resignation of board member Michael Coons, and reviewed the agenda. And that's it.
Okay, thank you so much, Andrea. Now we'll start with roll call. Rick Sauer?
I'll do the roll call.
Oh, you do. I'm sorry.
So that's
Go
okay. Maria Gonzalez?
Here.
Andrew Goodman? Michael Johns?
Here.
Rebecca Lopez Chris?
I'm here.
Majida Rashid? Mo Rushdie?
Here, present.
Rick Sauer?
I'm here.
Alexander Balloon?
I'm here.
Okay, and we have 3 empty seats now, given all the resignations, but with 6 board members present, we have a quorum and may proceed. If I may add one more thing, it is that Mr. Rushdie and Mr. Johns are attending another meeting and therefore will have to turn off their video during the discussion, but will be present for the votes and will be listening to the discussion. They will turn their video back on at that time. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Andrea. Moving on with the next item on the agenda is a review and approval of the board minutes from the January 16th board meeting. Hopefully everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes. And if there is no revisions or comments, we will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, the Executive Director's Report.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members and public. First thing I want to acknowledge is the resignation of Michael Kuntz and his term of service. So for those that do not know, Michael Kuntz has been with the city and served in multiple functions across the vast majority of landholding agencies, the Redevelopment Authority, the Land Bank, and PHDC. Ultimately, he was working at the Council President's office before his retirement at the end of 2023. He was, I believe, the first executive director of the Land Bank. So he was a wealth of knowledge and a very strong advocate for city functions. And I know that I won't speak for the board, but I will miss him. And I just want to acknowledge his service. The second item I want to do is mention to the board is that we had a ribbon cutting on February 20th. Actually, a groundbreaking on February 20th. It was well attended. The mayor attended, council president. It was a project that was approved by this board to Fine Print Construction. That is a joint venture. What makes it notable is that Daoud Bey is the principal of the development. He's a graduate of the Minority Developer Program. Daoud has a very a very impactful history. He's actually a very diligent student, really took the opportunity by the reins and ran with it. He's also a recipient of financing from the Accelerator Fund. The other thing I would like to point out is give a big shout out to Todd Hestan, who manages the Minority Developer Program. He's done a hell of a job, especially working with Daoud and the others and other groups that are promoting minority development across the city. And then also there's Ashley Stutes Martin, who manages our housing counseling, and Kaya, who is our housing counselor. And the three of them together are really helping and pushing forward Turn the Key. I know the board had asked me to speak to this. Just for the matter of the record, the board has approved 724 units of affordable housing for development. Currently, we have 223 homes under construction. 75 have been completed. We've sold 31 of those homes. 19 of the homes are also under agreement, so that's 50 of the 75. 15 of those homes were sold to City Philadelphia employees. That's sanitation, revenue, some from the library, police department, water department. The average AMI is 58 or 57, hovers between 57, 58% of AMI, which is significant. It should be noted that most people who are applying for these homes are making on average between 40 to 45, and it pushes the boundaries down to 35 as well. We have committed $3.9 million, actually close to $4 million, $3.961 million in Turn the Key mortgages. And we've also committed $590,000 in Philly First Home grants. Because of the program, on average, the Turn the Key mortgage amount, depending on where we're selling, because if the board will remember, certain properties are being sold in the 5th district at $280, and then in the 2nd district, it varies from $250 to $230. At 80% of AMI, the average mortgage amount for Turn the Key is about $66,000. So I think the projects are having a big impact in terms of home sales, especially in this market. So, and that ends my executive director's report.
Thank you, Angel. Very impressive numbers. Does anyone from the board have any questions or comments on the executive director's report?
I'm good. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is an unsolicited proposal for the development of affordable housing.
Actually, we have administrative matters. The first item is agreement for professional services with Connor Strong Buckaloo Companies.
Okay, moving on to that, my apologies.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the agreement that includes insurance risk management claims, safety and loss control, and administrative services dating back to January 1st, 2024. Today, we're asking the board to approve myself and the senior attorney to enter into an agreement for insurance services with Connor Strong Buckaloo for a 1-year term retroactive to January 1st, 2024. And effective through December 31st, 2024, with the option to renew for 3 successive 1-year renewal terms. The annual compensation shall not exceed $36,000 to be paid in 2 equal installments, and the total compensation for all years shall not exceed $144,000.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? No? Is anyone from the public have any comments related to this item? Seeing none? So I'm going to ask the question, is there a resolution for accepting this recommendation?
I move that we enter into the agreement.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, so moved. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is for the First Amendment to amend and restate management contract between the Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation and the Philadelphia Land Bank.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today, we're asking the board to approve an agreement that extends the term of the existing amended and restated contract for 4 additional one-year terms, retroactive to July 1, 2023. All other terms and provisions of the contract will remain unchanged and continue in full force. The initial term is defined in Section 2 of the contract, which was attached to the board package, shall be deemed to extend effective from the extension effective date of July 1, 2023 for an additional 4-year term. The extension term shall consist of 4 consecutive one-year terms, each of which renewal terms shall automatically renew unless either party hereto provides written notice to the other party not fewer than 90 days prior to the end of the contract term. The services to be rendered are basically, I'll do this in layman's terms. The PHDC provides operational and staffing functions for the land bank and for PRA, for the redevelopment authority. So that is hiring and firing staff, well, not hiring and managing staff, also financial services. So they manage, they have a fiscal office that we utilize. They handle insurance and risk management, which we already addressed in the first agenda item. And also assist, we have capacity through property management as well. And there are other items delineated in the agreement.
Thank you, Angel. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay, being none, are there any persons from the public that wish to comment on this agenda item?
Madam Chair? May I
Yes.
just interrupt? We did receive one email from the public prior to today's board meeting about this particular agenda item. May I go ahead and summarize it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so it came from Mr. Jihad Ali. Basically asking about the foundational management agreement with the Philadelphia Land Bank. This was sent before the board package was posted with all the attachments. So he wanted to confirm the official approval date of the original agreement, the amended and restated management contract, wanted to see that, and the source document for this first amendment. And basically said that on his research, he was unable to find references to the approval or to the management contract. And in the interest of transparency, that he was requesting these documents. So my response to him was that they had just been posted and that he could find them in the board package, both the amendment as well as the original amended and restated contract. And that letter will be included in the minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Andrea. Are there any members of the public that wish to comment on this agenda item? Okay, being none. So I will ask the question, is there a motion on the floor regarding this item in the agenda?
I move that we approve the amendment to the agreement.
Second.
So there was a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is item 4C, interagency transfers.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today, we're asking the board to approve proposed the transfer to the Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation for disposition, reuse, and or management by the Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation, specifically for community open space preservation of the property of 1115 North 41st Street. The property is being transferred from the city and the Department of Public Property to PHDC via the Land Bank and the Redevelopment Authority. This has been done in collaboration with the 3rd Councilmanic District.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Okay. Andrea, did you receive any comments before the board meeting?
I did not.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the public?
Actually, if I may correct that, I'm sorry. We did receive, this is in the 3rd district, and we did receive a letter from Councilwoman Gautier, primarily regarding the next agenda item, but also mentioning that she was in full support of this agenda item and requesting approval.
Thank you. Being no more comments on this agenda item, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the interagency transfer.
Second.
Thank you so much. Motion properly made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone
Aye.
opposed? No, motion carries. Moving on to the next, item on the agenda, which is the development of affordable housing unsolicited proposal.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the board and public. Today, we're asking the board to consider the disposition of the following properties: 708, 710, 714, 723 North Shedwick Street. All of these properties being transferred by the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority to the Land Bank. These will be disposed to a community land trust, which will be established by Mount Vernon Manor, a nonprofit in the Mantua section of Philadelphia, upon approval of the disposition. The community land trust will develop 4 single-family homes, affordable homes, intended for sale to households with incomes ranging from 60% to 80% of area median income, and will retain ownership of the land while selling the improvements on the land to eligible home buyers. The anticipated sales price for each of the 4 homes will range from $135,000 to $155,000. Under the terms of the ground lease, homeowners will lease the land from the community land trust and own the improvements on the land. This lease will have a duration of 99 years and is renewable. The application was unsolicited and qualified as per terms of the disposition policy. An EOP plan will apply to this project.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Angel, I had a couple of questions.
Sure.
Just kind of for the sake of explanation to the public. Can you explain the difference between this project and the project that we had before that the board had concerns with?
What we learned previously was that there was, it's a matter of who we're conveying the land to. So we're conveying directly to a community land trust. In a lot of ways, this mirrors what we typically would do with a low-income housing tax credit, where there will be a special purpose entity that would be created, and it would be in the resolution, which would state that there's going to be an SPE that will receive title. What we previously, where the issues arose, was that there was an assignment that hadn't been considered by the board, therefore created a problem. And that's why we had to come back. The other issue were the terms. You know, it's sort of like your first one, there's always a bunch of problems. We learned a lot from it. We capitalized on that. We were in a lot of conversations with this, with Mount Vernon Manor, trying to, avoid any particular problems. And because we had that past experience, we were able to facilitate this disposition. So again, I think the model was fine. There was a problem with what we had approved. And then it was kind of after the fact. So we were out of order technically in the first situation. In this, we kind of handled all of that. And what we're proposing to the board is that now the board is aware. And what we're asking the board to resolve is that Mount Vernon Manor is the applicant and will create a community land trust, and we will be ultimately conveying title to that community land trust under these terms.
I remember an issue previously where the homeowner was responsible for 100% of the tax bill. Is that the case in this project?
Now, we've already advocated for that. We haven't seen their papers, but we've already stated what our concerns were. Their attorney's already working on that. We explained these are issues that we will have, and that they needed to put that together so that they don't they can avoid those conversations and those issues.
So how will the land trust pay for the taxes on the land?
To be honest with you, I don't, that question is kind of interesting. I'm not going to be managing the land trust. It will be an obligation that they have, and therefore they have to deal with it. Much like most projects and developers where they have an obligation. I mean, the assumption being they have capacity to develop it, and they will have capacity. They're in good standing, and I mean, Mount Vernon Manor has been around for quite some time and has done a great job in the community. Our expectation is that they'll meet their obligations. I'm not their accountant. I can't really tell you whether they have the money to pay or not. Therefore, I also think, for our consideration is, did they qualify as an applicant, and did they address the concerns that were raised previously? They have. And they are aware they have this obligation. Clearly, if it doesn't happen, that's a default. So, but we're not there yet. Or if ever. I don't assume that they will.
This is a question for Andrea. I know we have quorum right now in this meeting, but if 100% of the people in this meeting approve this, is this still, given our missing board members, do we still have quorum? Do you still meet the 50% or whatever that's?
6 members.
As long as we have a quorum, a majority of the entire board, not just the majority of the quorum, must vote in favor of something to approve it. If you have a 5-1, 4-2, 3-3 vote on an item, it is not approved. And then it can either be tabled, brought back, or the board may give directions to the staff as to how they'd like to proceed.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. Andrea, do you receive any comments?
Yes, so I would like to read the letter from Councilwoman Gautier regarding this disposition and also the previous transfer. Dear Executive Director Rodriguez, I'm writing to express my support for both agenda items related to property in the 3rd Council District being reviewed by the Land Bank Board of Directors at this month's meeting. The transfer of 1115 North 41st Street to PHDC is part of a creative approach to engage a private landowner to protect East Parkside's North Star Park from closure or demolition. I'm grateful for PHDC's willingness to explore novel pathways to better secure threatened community green spaces and food production spaces that fulfill the goals from the Land Bank Strategic Plan to facilitate the creation of socially and economically diverse communities. Further, I am eager to see Mount Vernon Manor's Community Land Trust create 4 permanently affordable homeownership opportunities in Mantua. This will be the start of a model that, to my knowledge, does not exist elsewhere in West Philadelphia, and will offer genuinely affordable sales prices on new construction homes in the section of my district that has seen the highest permitting activity since 2020. I applaud Mount Vernon Manor for the time and thought they've put into this unique model. I know it can be replicable across city-controlled vacant land all over the city. Thank you for your consideration, Jamie R. Gautier, Council Member, 3rd District. And this will be included in the minutes as well.
Thank you, Andrea. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak on this agenda item? Okay, being none. So I will ask the question. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the disposition.
I'll second motion.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you so very much. Moving on to the last item on the agenda is new and old business and public comments. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak? Okay.
Jahad Ali has his hand up.
So can we elevate them to panel? Please
Can you-
proceed, Ms. Ali.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Jahad Ali. I wanted to first make a comment about the resignation of Michael Kuntz. As a citizen, I've attended this for years. And I followed Mr. Kuntz when he was over at RDA. He's been an outstanding public servant. You know, I wish him the best. I think he sets an example for all board members to be. I mean, I've witnessed countless interesting conversations between himself and the executive director of the land bank on previous issues before, and I hope that somebody can assume his role in advocating on strong advocacy on behalf of citizens and projects. I also want to make a comment about, I tried to raise my hand for the adoption of the modification for the agreement with PHDC. As Andrea told you, but for some reason I wasn't acknowledged, but I quickly sent an email to Andrea to tell her that I opposed that right to know exception. You should have gotten that because I could only put one line in before I could send that. But my objection is to the proprietary rights in there. And I'm surprised that this board, and particularly members of this board who are members of the administration, would not object to the exclusive exception of the right to know clause in that document. And I'm just shocked that the Parker administration would accept this kind of agreement, because the whole area of the right to know was so we didn't have secrets. There's not supposed to be any secrets. And right now, as this is set up with the PHDC being on having this management role, and they're not subject to the right to know, there's a possibility of secrets. And so I guess my fight next would, at least my concerns, will have to be voiced to somebody else, because it just doesn't seem that the members of the board are looking at that particular issue. I mean, everybody's doing good work. Mr. Rodriguez, you know, I don't agree with him all the time. He's doing good work. The land bank is doing good work, but we cannot have an organization that is shielded from the public view. And as that is now, it is. Also, I would just like to ask, are any members of this board, members of PHDC, are paid by PHDC?
No. I would say, Mr. Ali, I appreciate the nuance of what you're bringing up about PHDC's, like the nonprofit PHDC, I believe is what you're stating, is not subject to right to know in terms of their decisions. It should be noted, I am a PHDC employee, and so is everybody that is assigned to the land bank. But my focus and this, the board, I think I've never stated this directly. I am not subject to direction from PHDC's board or the president and CEO. My I take direction from the Land Bank Board and I take direction from the PRA Board. All right, so, and both entities have their own, obviously they are quasi-governmental, subject to sunshine law and right to know. And all deliberation and activities happen separate. I do not answer to the PhD board, C board, never attended their board meetings deliberately because they have no standing at the Land Bank or PRA.
Well, thank you, but it just seems if you're an employee, I just wonder why wouldn't you have to recuse yourself if you're an employee of PHCC for that action that you just voted on?
Well, I'm not a voting member. It's up for the board to decide. I don't recuse, I'm just presenting.
All right, well, thank you. I'll just have to take this to somebody else that's listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ali, and I do apologize. I was unaware that you were raising your hand. But we will make sure that we include your comments in the minutes. Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak?
Tawny Koslowski.
Hello, my name is Tawny Kozlowski. I actually joined this meeting because we received a notice on a parcel that we are currently leasing from the Philadelphia Land Bank. And I have a two-part question. First off, the Zoom meeting recording that I was sent told me that it was going to start at 9:30. It did not start at 9:30. And so I figured it was probably 10:30, but when I logged in early for the 10:30 meeting, you guys were almost completed. Is that correct? Because the 9:30 meeting that gets sent out when you register for these is not real. I don't know if somebody needs to know about that, so that it can be changed, updated, what have you.
I apologize for that miscommunication. The information we send out, the memorandum instructing people how to register, states that the executive session starts at 9:30 and the public session starts at 10. So if you received different information than that, I apologize. And I will make sure that our IT department corrects that information.
Wonderful. Next time I'll log in at 10. Thank you so much for that clarification. The second thing is the notice that we received on the parcel that we are currently leasing stated that there was going to be something in the agenda today. And when I looked at the actual agenda, it was not there. So I just logged in to make sure that I wasn't going to potentially miss it. Is there somebody that could update me as to when the Philadelphia Land Bank is going to be meeting in regards to, and I'm going to pull it up now. The parcels, there's a large number of parcels that somebody is trying to purchase for, I think, like $1,000 a parcel. That was supposed to be on this meeting, and
Yes, I could address that. That was.
Thank you.
There was supposed to be a community meeting prior to returning that item to the board. That community meeting did not happen before the allowable time before this board meeting. Therefore, we removed that item from the agenda. The properties were posted because we have to do that should that community meeting have happened and there was compliance. That's why the properties were posted. Once there's compliance with the community meeting, I believe there's supposed to be one March 20th, in which case after that we would be getting a report showing compliance with the stipulation as outlined by the board. And then that would be added to the agenda for April. And we would be posting that, I believe, 5 to 10 days in advance of that board meeting on April 9th.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So a question for that, given that these parcels range across Philadelphia, do they need to have a community meeting in every single one of these areas, districts, etc.?
Yes, everything for disposition, for development that is brought before the board is required to have an initial information community meeting.
Wonderful. Those were all of my questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Kozlowski. Is there anyone, member from the public that wishes to comment?
We have Eric Johnson.
Okay. Mr. Johnson?
Hi, good morning, board members. I just had a question. I wanted to know, when does phase 3 of the Minority Development Program start accepting applications? Or are you privy to that information?
We have not set that date at this current time. But what we will do is we will post where we will put that up there. I'll put the link to the program in the chat and also in the Q&A, actually in the chat. And then if you log into our website, you can ask to be informed. And that way you can get notification when that happens.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do we have any other members of the public?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please proceed,
Yes,
Ms.
hi, ma'am.
Nixon.
How are you guys doing today? A quick question for you. So is the process still the same in obtaining land from the land bank? I know
Correct.
Jesse left and I have been working with him. I just want to know if the application process still the same or has things changed?
Application process is the same. We don't, just for future reference, so everybody can know this, we don't change processes based on people. So the process is the process. If you have any questions, feel free to email me directly. If
Okay.
there's something that's unresolved, I will put my email in the chat for you, and you can just email me about your application and we will get you
Okay,
information you need.
great. Great, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Nixon. Any other members of the public? Hello. Mr. Nicholson,
Yes,
please proceed with your comment.
yes. So Jesse Lawrence doesn't work with the land bank anymore?
No, he does not.
Okay. So I submitted an application before for about 4 properties. I was also denied for them. What could possibly have been the reason for that?
You would have been issued a letter, sir, and if you would like, I put my email in the chat. You can reach out to me and I can set up a meeting with you to explain why we didn't get a qualified application. And you're more than welcome to
Okay.
reapply.
Okay, and for the new set of properties that you guys have available, that you guys are trying to release, it's the same process. I just had to fill out a new application.
Correct.
Okay, and then just resubmit it to you guys.
Correct.
Okay, now does it have to be the properties that you guys put in that list?
You can go to our website, which I put on the in the chat, and we have all of our available properties are listed. And depending on the type of use that you're proposing, whether it's a side yard, open space, if you're proposing affordable housing, a business expansion, you would go to that section and then you would search for those properties to see if they're available. If they're not available, we would not accept an application. If they are available, you can submit an application. Has to be a complete application, and then we will respond if you're qualified, or if you're not qualified, you'll get a letter stating why it did not meet the qualifications.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other members of the public that wish to speak? Okay. No others? Okay, so
Could I make a motion to adjourn?
anyone else second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you everyone for your time
Thank you.
and have a good one.